Warm welcome to our today's program. That today's first speaker is myself, Swami Vedankananda, Professor of Chemical Engineering, Heritage Institute of Technology. I started my career from Jadavpur University, product of Jadavpur University. Then I went to Indian Statistical Institute for post-graduation program. And then I also had my PhD in engineering from Jadavpur University. I am having around 30 years of teaching experience in chemical engineering and also related fields. Basically, an ordained monk of Ramakrishna ideal. Apart from my professorship in Heritage Institute of Technology, I am also the president of this philanthropic organization, the monastic organization, Vivekananda Institute of Environment and Management, Kolkata. Apart from that, I was selected by the government of India, basically the Prime Minister, as the president of Engineering Indian Science Congress 2019. I am also in the steering committee of the MNRE for renewable energy resources. And in fact, that we have one postgraduate program on renewable energy engineering in Heritage Institute of Technology. So apart from my teaching profession in chemical engineering, I also teach there in renewable energy. So this is basically the thing. We sometimes I go to several high power committees of CSIR, an empaneled expert of that CSIR NERI, and also the other such type of government organizations. And since I am alumnus of Jadavpur University, so we have quite good interaction with Jadavpur University. So this is about me. The topic what I am supposed to discuss is a package, the wastewater treatment and the package of that. Basically, I was in doubt that whether I will present my work. Present means I will deliver a lecture here or not. But then I have found that there are many areas where the academically people should have some sort of interaction and knowledge sharing. And from that standpoint, I thought that okay, let me not only as a coordinator, let me do this. In case of since there is some little time for this. So the topic is package for wastewater management. Just a minute, please. Start the presentation. So what we are supposed to learn in this session, what is environment management, what program they need, two basic parameters in water pollution, wastewater treatment's objectives, stages of wastewater treatments, and development of packages for wastewater management using ranking method. So these are the basic avenues where we should travel. And you see, what is that environment management? Because our webinar, the internship program, the one part is environment management, one part is safety, one part is health, and one part is environment management. So this is just an introduction. Man is forced to preserve the environment with the help of science and through legislation. Both for his own survival and for the good of the planet in which he lives. Science proposes to educate man on the method of keeping environment clean by less of pollution, cleaning the effluents, recycling of non-biodegradable products, and looking for cleaner technology. Legislation imposes standards to be maintained and imposes penalty for any violation. So basically, there are two aspects. That's why specifically we did it using two colors, that less of pollution, cleaning the effluents, recycling of non-biodegradable products, and looking for cleaner technology. So these are the four avenues. These are the four avenues where we should use science and technology. And legislation is the thing where we should impose the administrative issues. We should discuss these administrative issues. We will go on, doing such type of impositions so that the environment will be clean. But the thing is that unless there is awareness from people, the people would be aware and they will feel that, yes, we should not do like this. I mean, we should protect our environment. This is the significance of this, that how people are protecting using this globe. So unless we do this, then it will not be effective. Now, next is the WASH program. The WASH program is a need for issuing WASH program. The WASH program is the WASH, sanitation, health, and hygiene are the three aspects under the purview of the sustainable development, sustainable engineering and technology for rebuilding our country. And therefore, this needs some special attention. This WASH program is basically in our country. It is run by UNICEF, United Nations that Child Emergency Fund. So that is UNICEF. That UNICEF is generally running this WASH program for block and panchayat level in order to achieve protection of water environment in Indian villages. Now, here are some parameters. Here are some parameters. These parameters are not actually related with the basic package of the wastewater management, but unless one has the knowledge of these parameters, then it will be difficult for him or her to understand the package. And I feel that not only all are the chemical engineers or have gone through these basic courses on environmental engineering. So some are it is a multidisciplinary group, and that's why we are discussing. The first topic is the dissolved oxygen. The dissolved oxygen is what? Dissolved oxygen is the amount of free oxygen in the water. Basically, we are treating wastewater. Naturally, we are concerned with the how much free oxygen is present in water. Water means that wastewater. And you see, when there is aquatic life, then there are the fishes and the microorganisms. So the bacteria. So these people, they require the water. They require the oxygen, and that's why dissolved oxygen is very much important. If it is, free of dissolved oxygen, then it is a clean water. And if it is very polluted water, then DO level, the dissolved oxygen level, is very less. Now, this oxygen is necessary for respiration, and that is why in wastewater treatment, there are certain divisions of wastewater treatment that is known as primary treatment, secondary treatment, etc. So in basic secondary treatment, so this is the reaction that all carbohydrates, that is the human, it is starting from human body, animal body, bacteria body, all the biomasses present in biosphere. So everyone needs oxygen, oxygen for respiration, and naturally wastewater is being depleted because of this respiration. And also, whatever the body contains the ammonia, that ammonia also is required oxygen. This is actually the biochemical reaction. Otherwise, those are I mean, those have studied the chemistry or the chemical engineering, some basic avenues. So there we have seen that otherwise this reaction will not proceed. The ammonia and oxygen, it will react either using some catalyst or using some bacteria. That is the slow biochemical processes. So here we are considering about the biochemical processes. Okay. So this is the reason for DO analysis, dissolved oxygen analysis. This is used in BOD analysis. BOD is known as biological or biochemical oxygen demand. The what is that biochemical oxygen demand? That because of that BOD, that biochemical oxygen demand, that is the essential parameter. So I told you that we will discuss two parameters. One parameter is DO, the other parameter is BOD. And there are several treatment processes. So basically, the goal for all such treatment processes is to reduce BOD to the desired level as specified by the CPCB, the Central Pollution Control Board, which is actually the BOD 30 or less. That is for if you discharge it to the inland surface water. So that is the standard limits for that. And naturally for treatment plant effluents and also receiving streams, so that they are everywhere we have to analyze DO. So unless we have that know the procedure of DO analysis, we cannot develop the package. So this is the precondition of the studying this learning this particular topic of my lecture. So here is just a chart of maximum DO concentration in air for saturation cases. That means if the corresponding to the temperature, maximum concentration, that is nothing but the solubility in milligram per liter. And naturally, we are used to get this value generally at say 20 degree. Now it is winter, so it is 20 degrees centigrade. So what is that value? The corresponding to this value is 9.2. That means if in a normal water is there, that it contain maximum concentration of oxygen there would be 9.2 milligram per liter. And these are the instruments for sample collection. So these are basically the instruments. Generally universities and academic institutes and also industries, they use these type of samplers. This particular sampler, that is known as the depth sampler. So it is there in our institute, that Vivekananda Institute, we are having one depth sampler. The depth sampler's idea is that there is one heavy weight. So you can put this barrel under wastewater or even in river, where you can have the great depth, because you know the surface the DO has got certain level. If you go downwards, the level will be diminished, because the surface water, it comes in contact with the atmospheric oxygen, but slowly if you go downwards, the DO level will decrease. So if one has to determine the concentration of dissolved oxygen at that depth, then this is the methodology. Here is one heavy weight. So the thing is that after, placing the cylinder at some depth, say around, say 5 meters or so, then what happens is, then from the top through this sling, one heavy weight has to be, actually it will pass through this, then it will have some one impact on this particular fulcrum, and naturally the this socket portion that will open, and the cylinder will also open, and the space in between, that will be filled with water of that particular region. Okay, and then when you will draw it, when you will draw this using this particular rope, then automatically, because of this weight of the barrel, it will automatically lock, and the water will be there. So these are the other methodologies, some improved design. Now this is Winkler modification. So Winkler did it. Winkler was a chemist in 1888. So Winkler find that if you are to find out dissolved oxygen in wastewater, so what will happen? That the oxygen is actually taken by the biomasses, but you have to freeze oxygen at certain points, and that's why he used what? He used that azide. So this is a cartoon, that as if the nitrite which is present there, and this is the azide. So as if azide is fighting, sal azide is fighting with nitrite. So azide destroys nitrite. So that means we have to use sodium or potassium azide for this particular determination. And the sodium potassium azide, it is highly reactive, and that's why it is highly corrosive. And when my students they work in the laboratory, I always make a caution that they should be very cautious regarding the use of azide. So that may cause explosion. So that is the case. Now, this is the procedure of using, BOD analysis, the DO analysis. From DO analysis, we had to find out BOD. This is the typical BOD bottle. The BOD bottle, you see, here all BOD bottles has got a unique number, so that you can list that number in your record book, where you are keeping the record of your investigation, so that it will not mix up with the work, because all these things you have to be incubated at a particular incubator that is known as BOD incubator. So after using this means after filling up with wastewater, you have to wastewater or whatever water whose DO you have to determine. Then you have to put 2 milliliter manganese sulfate and 2 milliliter alkaline azide solution, and then put the stopper. Don't put little less, because if you put the stopper some around 2 to 3 milliliter water, that will overflow. That means that will be wasted. So in the BOD calculation, we take into account with this. So naturally, this is the procedure that you have to fill it full, and then you put the stopper, and then mix well, and then allow if there is oxygen, then the flock will be like this. The flock will be like this. Here we have seen the
So we can't hear you.
It would be that, am I audible? I hope am I audible? Hope I am audible, isn't it? So this is the iodometric method. The reactions and other things are being given. So accordingly, the reaction will take place. So please don't miss the endpoint, because if you add one drop or two drop, actually the equation, generally what we do is we dilute the solution. So naturally, then how much factor you use for dilution, it will be multiplied with that. So that means if you make 1% error and if you multiply by the dilution factor, say 30, then your error will be 30%, just for 1% error. So that's why you should be very cautious regarding this. Now, now what is that BOD? It is a biochemical oxygen demand, I already told. I told that in India we prefer 5 days at 28 degree, but in the international convention is 5 days at 20 degree. And the idea is that if you use into incubate using incubator, then you need a BOD incubator. The BOD incubator operates in such a process that it will be mostly the half degree cutoff. That means if it is 20.5, then the machine will cut off. So like that. So all these things will be there: organics, ammonia, bacteria, and naturally we have to fill it up with dilution water and then measure the DO concentration. And then nitrification may take place, but actually that will happen after 8 days. So naturally, if you take BOD3 or BOD5, the nitrification will not be a problem. And then how to determine that BOD? That is DO at 0 day, DO at 5th day, and that is the BOD5. So you have to incubate it for 5 days plus minus 6 hours. That is for 20 degree centigrade, and then measure the final DO. So this is the calculation. This is basically the material balance calculation. The sample BOD, sample volume, BOD diluted, because you see, you may need to dilute it. Otherwise, your, that high sulfate, the burette reading will be so less that you cannot get it. You will hardly 1 or 2 drops that endpoint comes. And that's why we dilute it. And this is the calculation for that. This is a calculation for that, the DO depletion by sample volume into 300 milliliters. So that will be the pure calculation. Now, I have completed some parts of my presentation. Now, let us come to the actual topic. The objective of wastewater treatment plant to achieve the desired effluent quality appropriate for the receiving water or the body, not only at the minimum level at investment, but also based on various factors like various factors like system reliability, operation and maintenance cost, land requirement, environmental effects at the site, local environmental conditions, aesthetics, to name a few. This is a diagram that how the wastewater management takes place. So initially, you can start from the problem identification. And with this problem identification, we know that in treatment requirement, then we can have some treatability studies. I will show you one treatability case study here in this presentation. Selection of technology, what technology you require based on ranking, that we will explain. We will come to that. Then accordingly, what should be your delineation of the treatment system, then design of actual effluent management treatment. Up to this was under the pilot study. And this is the design of actual treatment. Then on-site assessment. After doing this, exactly what you are to do in the site. And then again comes, so this cycle is over. And then again come the problem identification for the next case. So this is this. The ultimate goal of wastewater management should be treating effectively, economically, and ecologically. Now, for wastewater treatment processes, basically there are the preliminary and primary treatment of wastewater. These are basically physical processes, and these processes ultimately can have the reduction of BOD up to 30%. The process includes screening. That means the wastewater is screened to get the suspended materials, for example, say coconut shells or such plastics and other such things. Then grit removals. That means what are the say sand, pebbles, etc. That if you look at the drain, you will find that the color of the water, and then those heavy sandy particles. So that is removal and its sedimentation. And then ultimately, if there is a system of treatment, so if it is say industrial type of treatment, industrial type of wastewater, then it may be highly acidic or highly alkali oriented. So that's why we need the neutralization and equalization. So this is the physical process. This followed by the secondary or biological process. This process encompasses all biological treatment processes, both aerobic and anaerobic. For effective treatment of wastewater, various treatment processes are practiced. So the very basic is the conventional activated sludge process. It is an activated sludge reactor. The reactor contains the Let me show you the photo of this. So this is the Mangur sewage treatment plant where we had the lot of work. This is near, I mean, in between the Lake Town and Mangur in Kolkata. So here the number of aerators. So it is this is the primary clarifiers, secondary clarifiers, numbers of aerators, and then ultimately here the activated sludge is being purged, and that will take place in the reaction. This is a one aerator, the wastewater. It is, I mean, wastewater is being, I mean, using the aerator. It is being dispersed so that the oxygenation will be increased and also the treatment efficiency. So this is a type of conventional process. Then the extended aeration system. Extended aeration system is a type of it is almost similar to activated sludge process. Only difference is what? The difference is that there is no primary clarifier and there is no secondary sludge drying bed. So naturally, you have seen the earlier flow sheet. There are around 6 to 7 units. Here, the number of units are being reduced, and that is why the space area is reduced. So from that standpoint, for cities, this is giving a very important, I mean, success. But the thing is that this extended aeration, so basically the aeration is the main thing here. And naturally for that, the electrical power will be much more, the requirement of electrical power. So that is the advantages, but it is a costly process. The other process is one trickling filter. The trickling filter, it is basically a trickle bed reactor. So this process is efficient for a small scale plant but the main problem of that is if it is operating in temperate countries, then you see that the microbial reaction which is being taken place. So unless there is atmospheric temperature, I mean, more than 24, 25 degree, the plant efficiency that suffers. So this is the trickling filter. The other is the rotating biological rope contactors. This rarely in our India you will see this process. That you see the wastewater trough is there, and through that the ropes are being immersed, and the rope will have some circular motion. So because of that circular motion, the aeration activities takes place. So in some types there are the two plates out of these as the end plates and remaining as the supporting plates. So this is also a very compact unit, helpful for the small scale processes. So then the anaerobic system. So all other systems we discussed till now, that is aerobic system. Now the anaerobic system. Aerobic system means with in presence of oxygen. Anaerobic means in absence of oxygen. So anaerobic fixed film reactors. So anaerobic fixed film reactor, its efficiency is very low. But the thing is that if you have the hazardous waste, then that only can be destroyed using this anaerobic fixed film reactors. But otherwise, its efficiency is low. So like that, anaerobic reactors for wastewater treatments are classified depending on their configuration and support media used. The reactors with attached biomass are referred to as fixed film reactors. Other variations are moving bed reactors, expanded bed, fluidized bed reactors, etc. Then comes the waste stabilization pond. This we are discussing in a little more detail because this is actually the today's hot topic. This is a series of ponds. The one pond is aerobic pond. That means it operates in presence of oxygen. And since it is aerobic, it is shallow ponds. Then the maximum light penetration, it maintains dissolved oxygen level throughout. Detention time is 3 to 5 days. That means you have to keep wastewater in this pond for 3 to 5 days. Detention time is short, so very little coliform destruction will result. It will be followed by one anaerobic pond. Actually, this waste stabilization pond, it is always a series of ponds. The first is aerobic, then is anaerobic. The dissolved oxygen is not required. accept higher organic loadings, operate without algal photosynthesis, average detention time 20 to 50 days, used for treatment of industrial agricultural wastes, and then the maturation pond. This is the type of pond, the growth characteristics of the hyacinth available over. This is actually the latitude and north and 33 north and 33 south. That is in Bengali, it is known as Kochuripana. So that is very much helpful in treating wastewater. And Kochuripana, that hyacinth, that has got one another benefit, that is it can absorb the toxic metals. For example, metals that are chromium and arsenic, etc., phenols, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Then duckweed pond, small floating aquatic plant, belong to Lemnaceae family and consist of 4 genera: Lemna, Spirodela, Ulfia, and Ulfilella. So these are the things. And then the duckweed ponds, the characteristics are being given. So that pond influent BOD 60 to 70, TSS 100 to 120. So after 7 days, it will be reduced to 40 to 50. After 12 to 13 days, it will be 20 to 25. And after 20 days, it will be 5 to 6. So when it is going beyond 30, then you can safely discharge in inland surface water. So that is the idea. The heavy metals also can be reduced from 10, arsenic from 10 to 4 within 20 days. Then nickel from 15 to 0.9. So this is a very efficient system. Then the reed bed root zone system, named after macrophytes cultivated in the trenches or beds, hydraulic profile maintained through them, flow 1 meter cube per day or more. We have did lot of such installations of this particular concept. For a small size plant, this is highly efficient. Even in Darjeeling Mirik Lake, so our team went and they did the type of Mirik Lake restoration program. Under that, it was done. So like that, these are the performance parameters. Now we are already aware of this particular, concepts that what are the waste treatment, what are treatment alternatives, how to use a particular wastewater treatment processes, where to use what, where we should not use this, like that. Now the point is, with this concept, we have to identify the basic object of this package development is to identify the parameters. The constructions of a treatment plant is a very involved and cost-intensive process. Planning, designing, detailing, drawings, arranging raw materials, actual construction, supervisions, commissioning, and operations, etc., all demand considerable time, experience, manpower, and finance. Need reviewing and compared with other alternatives from time to time to achieve desired satisfaction level. For example, in the thickly inhabited locality, if a treatment plant is operated, which creates odor or fly nuisance, and people complain about the plant, the selection of unit may not be proper in spite of its cost effectiveness and technically satisfying performance. I tell you one practical example. So now our institute is very large, so it is not possible. But say around 10 years before, we used to go together, the teachers and the students, in the picnic or such type of get-together issues. So I think it is a story of around 2007 or 2008. Then one very top executive of CMDA, so his son was my student. So I told him whether he can arrange anything. So immediately his father said that yes, You see, there is one treatment plant just opposite to the Howrah station. I mean, just after this shade, etc. So there is one sewage treatment plant. Then he said that yes, the Ganga is there, and all this the area is very beautiful. So you can, and this is under CMD, so you can go and you can one day we can have the picnic there. So I inspected that place, and then I found it is uh, everything is all right there. The garden, good flowers, and all these things, but it is full of the wastewater. I mean, the obnoxious smell. So I said that, sir, here we cannot do the picnic like that. So that is the case. I mean, similarly, for suggesting one particular option, one should be very cautious regarding what type of units you should use. And this is the, on the basis of that, I am showing you the selection of wastewater treatment technology option that is known as methodology used for ranking of wastewater treatment processes. It involves following steps. Identify the alternative treatment processes for meeting the stipulated effluent standards. Estimate sizes of individual units in the treatment processes. Estimate land, power, and staff requirements for the treatment alternatives. Estimate capital investment and annual operation and maintenance costs. Estimate annual benefits, if any, and calculate net annualized cost. Identify the attributes for ranking of alternatives. Out of the total score of 1,000, assign scores to individual parameters through pairwise comparison. For development of evaluation basis for a parameter in the attribute, develop technology acceptability curves. This technology acceptability curve is a very important issue. The calculate technology acceptability indeed for each parameter. Calculate score for the parameter by multiply technology acceptability index by weight. That means the maximum score for the parameter. Add the scores for the individual alternatives and rank the alternative. It is very, I mean, just if you go through it, it will be, I mean, it may happen that it is a little bit paradoxical, but in the next slide, I mean, subsequent slides, it will be very clear. For example, what are the types of removal we require from the wastewater? Say phosphorus removal, nitrogen removal, coliform removal, helminth removal, virus removal, mosquito nuisance, all these things. Now, first of all, the removals. And then removals is the measurement is the percentage removal. The wastewater has got so much percentage of phosphorus and you have to remove it. And that removal, how it will be there? I mean, using a particular criteria, using a particular treatment process, say activated sludge process or waste stabilization pond or so and so processes. So how it performs. So that is the case. And regarding mosquito nuisances, all nuisances are subjective to the scale of 0 to 1. That means if it is 0, then that means it is absolutely, it is full of, I mean, no problem will be there. And 1 means it is very high nuisance. So that is the other process. Now, with this, say, odor nuisance, fly nuisance, annualized cost, operating skill requirement, land requirement, process reliability. So all such types are there. And accordingly, we are to have the subjective measurement or percentage removal. So like that. And with the help of this, we actually did for the ASP. Oh, this is actually this particular slide. It gives you the relative merits and demerits. For example, this is a fixed thing. This is true for all such things. This is true for all such things. For example, say if you are, I mean, using the activated sludge process, if you are using extended aeration system, if you are using trickling filter, if you are using stabilization fund, if you are using RBRC or AFFR. So all processes we have explained earlier. So there, what should be the removal? What should be the parameter values? So you see that phosphorus removal ASP is 50%, extended aeration is 95%, very high. You see, extended aeration system, all the parameters are very high. You see that trickling filter is little bit of medium, and also that that stabilization font, the values are also very much, I mean, you see the good values are there. RBRC is mediocre values, AFFR are very low values. So like that, this is the matrix, and accordingly, one has to go for the choice. So already it has been stated that in the scale of 100, you have to compare like this. And then there is another treatment, that the root zone process, reed bed root zone. So that particular outreach program, one we did. So there, that we will show you just after this. Then here we will have the ranking of wastewater treatment methodologies for reed bed and root zone treatment, that is selected as technology alternative. In Merrick also, Merrick Lake also we did like this. So this is a natural process, has proved to be very effective, convenient, and it encompasses the interactions of various routes of the reed plants. So like that, and this is a detail of the case study we conducted in the two villages. One is Chakkola Thal. It is just beside our Heritage Institute of Technology. Another is Khiadaho. So these are the demographic, I mean, figures of these places. And this is the study period we did from October to November last year. And we analyzed this BOD, COD, TKN, that totals delta nitrogen, total solids, suspended solids, and chromium. Why chromium? Because that area is full of tanneries, I mean, the localities. That's why chromium we have estimated. These are certain, I mean, studies, photos of that. Our study group did it. This is the schematics of the pilot plant for this particular process. So that is a horizontal flow system reed bed root zone pilot plant. The actual pilot plant size is length is 4 feet, width is 1.5 feet, and depth is 1.5 feet. And these are the, using this pilot plant, we had the results of the treated effluent, and you see that all the figures, it is coming within the standard limits. So after treating using this pilot plant, it is coming below the, except in Khiadaho where chromium is high. So this is the discussion on this particular case study. A combined flow system design was developed based on pilot study using floating macrophytes, namely Cana indica. This is actually what we say in Bengali, the Kolabati full, or the say Hogla Potti. So the hydraulic retention time and the area of the unit are calculated to be 5 to 6 days and 1.2 hectares respectively for both the villages. The quality of the effluent was also analyzed in the pilot plant study, and the same conformed to the CPCB standard. It is evident from the investigation that root zone reed bed, which would be developed for the villages under consideration, would be feasible for considering all aspects of construction and operation. The proposed plant would be highly cost effective and user friendly, can be operated by partnership basis with major supervision by the villagers. The treated effluent with minor disinfection can also be reused safely. Now, there is another option that is known as common effluent treatment plant. So that also can be encompassed with the ranking type of method. So that you see that common effluent treatment plant means the those the groups or the industries, say small scale industries, so they are generating waste, but naturally the waste is not so much, it's volume. So they cannot have their individual treatment processes. So all such industries, say around 100 industries join together, and then they approach the government administrative authorities or such type of authorities to design one common effluent treatment plant. And for that, effluents of individual industries can be conveyed to this common effluent treatment plant using tankers, open channels, piping systems, or combination of all these. So this is the design of CETP, common effluent treatment plant. So it requires lots of parameters: inventory, qualitative, quantitative characterization, then classification of industries, classification of wastewater based on biodegradability, site-specific, effective, and easy to maintenance design of conveyance system, bench scale and pilot scale treatability study, segregation of wastewater, pre-treatment, assessment, waste minimization, disposal mechanism, estimation of treatment cost, cost benefit analysis, selection of best suited cost sharing pattern, stress on cleaner technologies. So this is a typical flow diagram of this common effluent treatment plant. It is a type of the secondary treatment plant. The only difference is that there will be the equalization chamber and then the aeration tank, and this is basically an activated sludge process. This is secondary clarifier, and this is the sludge drying beds. So there are two sludge drying beds after the two clarifiers, primary and secondary. So this is basically a common effluent treatment plant based on the activated sludge process, which we discussed earlier. So there is one common effluent treatment plant where I was involved. Still, I am in their committee, and almost every year, this year is the exception. So they call me for their meeting to analyze the performance. This is actually that Pali is the place where there are a lot of, industries like, say, Sanganari Jaipur print, what we Bengali people say as Jaipur print, the Sanganari print. So that type of small textile industries. So this is a conglomeration of such industries, and that's why the CETP was, erected. The design, basically the design was needy, and also the fabrication part was done using the United Nations Development Fund. So like that, I was involved in that process. So this is basically an approach how to design the packages. If you are given the job that you need to develop one say wastewater treatment process. So this is a very basic approach that I could share with you. Is there any discussion? I mean, any questions regarding this? Anyone? Dr. Dash, if you wish to. Our next speaker, Professor S.K. Dash, he is also a very renowned environmental expert, environment and safety, and former head of the Department of Chemical Engineering. Former means now presently professor, former head of the Department of Chemical Engineering. He has already joined. So, any questions? All the participants or anyone? Oshanendu has joined? No. No. You are free to send your questions, through the chat box, or you can, I am always available. You can send it afterwards also using mail or any such processes. So let me introduce Professor Dash. Professor S.K. Dash is a great expert. He had his PhD from chemical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and he was 3 times he was General Secretary of that Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, and still now is the council member of Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers. He is also the treasurer of Indian Chemical Society, the organization founded by Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray. And regarding academics, I think he has guided 16 PhDs. Am I correct, sir? Professor Das, I am correct. I hope I am correct that he has guided 16 PhDs. All are from the, I mean, the students. That is a and a great man, a great academic career he is having. Presently, he is professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering, University of Calcutta. His topic is process safety. Sir, please start your deliberation. Professor Das, you please start your deliberation. Thank you very much. Please unmute yourself, Professor Das. Okay, share. Sir, I have already introduced you. You please start your deliberation.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Audible, sir.
Sir, I have already introduced you. You start the presentation.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Professor Das. You carry on. I already introduced you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Professor Das, I
Hello.
already Professor Das, could you hear?
Audible.
I am audible. You are audible, sir.
Hello.
You are quite audible. You start your deliberation.
হ্যালো হ্যালো আমি তো আরো করছি কিন্তু আপনি সাউন্ড শুনতে পাচ্ছেন আমার? না না, এখন না, এখানে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি না কিন্তু। হ্যালো
I hope Professor Das is audible, isn't it? Hello.
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন আমাদের নাকি? হ্যাঁ, হ্যালো।
হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ সায়ন, স্যার কথা বলতে শুনতে পাচ্ছিস?
ইয়েস স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
ও, প্রফেসর দাস আপনি আরম্ভ করুন, সবাই শুনতে পাচ্ছে আপনার কথা। Sir, already I introduced you. Sir,
Hello. Hello.
sir, you start your deliberation.
Hello.
Sir, you start your deliberation. Hello.
Hello.
You start your deliberation, sir.
Hello.
You start your deliberation.
হ্যালো, আমি আমি সাউন্ডটা পাচ্ছি না, সাউন্ড কোথাও সাউন্ড আসছে না। না, আপনারা কি বলছেন সেটা তো শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, আমার প্রবলেম হচ্ছে সেই জায়গাটা। না না
You are quite audible, sir. Please start the presentation.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Full screen खोल यार take us. Yes, sir. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, continue, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Full screen করব কি করে?
Sir,
My topic
slide
is-
show তে দিয়ে দিন, sir. F5 দিয়ে দিন।
F5 না?
Slide show।
Slide show তো আসছে না।
উপরে দেখুন slide show অপশন আছে ওখানে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ এখানে আছে হ্যাঁ।
হ্যাঁ, ওখানে from this slide করে দিন, হ্যাঁ।
On the current slide. হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে। Thank you.
হ্যাঁ।
So thank you Swami ji giving me a chance to discuss the fundamentals of process safety. I am Professor S. K. Das from University of Calcutta. Process safety, basic introduction is a, to think of the process safety first. Then you always remember any countries that is emphasis on efficiency, production, growth, and progress. Naturally, puts a strong commercial pressure on the chemical industry to use for modern technology and involving large size, very large size, large size plant, large quantities of material to be handled, and faster process of production. A developing society cannot offer the luxury of doing away with the chemical industry, despite the fear generated by it. Indian industry have always enjoyed a level of credibility in the past, in the minds of common man who saw it is a hope for better tomorrow. But the Bhopal tragedy in 1984 shocked this credibility. Thereby, thereby people are thinking towards the rethinking the industrial safety and the industrial norms which should be followed very carefully by the government of India. Industries are established in India early in 1950s after independent, large-scale industries mainly. Large-scale industrial section, however, started after independent in 1947. Today, and particularly in the second 5 years planning, when IPCL, different factories of steel, petrochemicals, all are coming in the picture, all of the government sector. The country has today all type of industry located all over India. Industrial types like large scale, very large scale, medium size scale, small scale industry located throughout the India. Naturally, the potential for hazard arising out of this industry is also very large. In India, dimensions of the problem are very large because varieties and diversities of industries, that is very small to very large, very small to very large scale, old and new, traditional and modern, and so on. So spreading the industry throughout the vast nation in India. In the case of Bhopal's tragedy, the worst ever industrial accident in the history of the world occurred in Bhopal in December 1984. The death in the immediate death is 1,000 and another 2 lakhs people are reportedly injured. The human suffering from the accident does not end at this figure. Reliefs, rehabilitation of victims and their kins are still continuing in a never-ending trend. The accident released the toxic chemicals, methyl isocyanide, as a result of contamination, runaway reaction. The accident brought to light of many weakness of the existing of the safety systems of chemical plants in our country particularly, and also in the world. Major accident, now the major accident hazard types is fire, explosion, and toxic release. In the case of fire, see, these are some of the examples, the chemicals, consequence, death and injury, and place of occur. That is methane. Death is 136. Major cause of the chemicals is methane. In USA, LPG Blévy in France in 1966, LNG 40 in USA, methane 52 in Santa Cruz, Mexico, leather and synthetic bag manufacturing materials in 42 Delhi, 8 December in 1929 last year, crude oil in Bombay High, when a tanker is collided, crude oil tanker is collided with the Bombay High basin, and then the accident took place. 10 people were died, lot of people were injured. Bombay High in India in 7 July 2005, and in petrol, in a storage tank in petrol located in Jaipur, massive more than 80,000 kiloliter of petrol storage tank caught fire in Jaipur. 12 people were died and more than 100 people were injured in 2009. Similarly, explosion, the propylene, the consequence is for 14 dead, injury to 107 in Netherlands, propylene, injury 203 in USA, cyclohexane in 28 dead and for 89 injured in Flexborough, UK. And after this accident, lot of rule and regulation changes by the UK government. In ammonium nitrate in 1924, 24 people were died and 100 people are injured in New Jersey, USA. The in the firework station, work factory. This factory got explosion. They are using they are producing the fire. Fire is some material. So death is 22, 100 injury is 100. Istanbul, ammonium nitrate. That is a accident in USA. 578 people were died and more than 3,500 people were injured in Texaco City, mainly in the port area. There the collision between the two large ships. One ship is carried ammonium nitrate, mainly used for fertilizer purpose, and they collide together, and then accident took place. And blast in chemical factory, perhaps mainly it is from the runway reaction took place. Whatever news is coming, that what type of material was there is not available in the newspaper. So 5 people are dead and 50 people were injured in Dahej, Gujarat in last June. This occurred in last June. And also toxic release, as I talked, methyl isocyanate, date is 2000, and 2 lakh people are injured, Bhopal accident. And hydrogen sulfide in Chicago, sulfur dioxide, more than 100 people are injured in Baltimore, USA. Ammonia, 30 people have died and 25 people are injured in Colombia. Chlorine is 7, then Germany. Phosgene 10 in Costa Rica, Mexico in 1950. And styrene leakage very recently took place at 12 May. Inside 12% death and more than 100 people were shifted to hospital. That is, they are injured in Visakhapatnam. In the case of fire, if you think in the case of fire, what is the problem? The major industrial fire arises out of leakage of inflammable material of the system, and they are getting ignited from some source. In case of large discharge of inflammable materials, formation and traveling of the vapor clouds to another location is possible, and also causing a fire or explosion is possible. This poses danger of the combustion nearby or even the same distance where its leakage takes place. The damage is both cases are very extensive in nature. Another danger from fire is that when inflammable materials get ignited, there is a possibility of toxic release. That is basically the product of combustion in a large quantity, and the extent of damage depends upon the quantity involved. That is the amount of gas leak or liquid leakage is involved, but properties of the material involved. Factors such as wind direction, humidity, etc., are also very important factor, and location, population density, etc., are also important. In the case of explosion, when inflammable materials released during an accident can mix with air to form an explosive mixture. At certain specified concentration, when this mixture is ignited, there is an explosion. The explosions are characterized by shock waves and can result in the structural damage of the building, flying objects, outside knockdown, or buried under the collapsed structure, and so on. The explosion can take place in the case of following categories of material like gases, LPG, cyclohexane, dust like milk powder, confined vapor cloud explosion, that is within the vessel or pipe work, confined vapor cloud, vapor released, unconfined vapor cloud, vapor released, which forms a vapor cloud in air, and lastly the boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion, that is BLEVE. It is a situation where an inflammable liquid is fired, fire and vapor released and expand and got ignited and then explode. And then toxic release. Large quantities of toxic chemical released into the atmosphere by accident can cause serious injury or death to a large population. The danger or harm from this release depends upon the quantity released, physical properties of the material is released, toxicity of the materials, and factors like wind velocity, direction, humidity, all are important. All are important. Now, to identify the major accident hazards. The criteria for identification of major accident hazards are generally fixed for the purpose of legal control by the governments. Whether a unit or plant has a potential for major accident hazards is decided on the basis of the toxic, of inflammable or reactive properties of the material involved within the factory, quantities involved that is stored, produced, or handled. From this point of view, their potential for harm, chemicals are in different groups. Chemicals are identified. We are not going into detail of the groups of chemicals which is required for this. For a particular major industries, particular major hazardous industries, the first is the control issue. The control issue first is integrity of the plant and equipment is necessary. Application of modern technology also necessary, and social and living condition also necessary. We are the third world country. Social and living condition is not sufficient. So whatever our habit is there, with same habit we continue in the plant itself, there is a possibility of accident. So what is the what is the role of action of the government in the major accidents? So enhancements of Factory Act and preparation of model rules and thereafter. Enhancements of Environment Protection Act in 1968 after the Bhopal accident. Identification of hazardous units in different states and bring them under a program of incentive inspection. And they started in 1986, they started a project, initiating a project, IND/86/MOI/FRG to establishment and initiate operation of major accident hazard control system in India. Before that, this was not there. So what is the purpose? The purpose is setting up a major accident hazard control advisory division or cell in central government as well as in local government, training of the inspection or advisory staffs so that they can visit the factory, they can educate the people when if they got the trainings. Setting up a nationwide information system. This system is established but not in proper fashion, because if an accident takes place in a place X, they are always, companies always hiding all the information. So that is not a very fruitful, but government is trying in level based to setting up a nationwide information system. So when a near miss or accident takes place, so this type of industry, all industry present this type of situation, this type of operation, so they can be alert for that. But this system is not a very fruitful arrangement by the government. The preparation of guidance note, manual, training manuals, training of key personnel is important. Expansion of factory inspection service, enhancing their capability through setting up laboratory and the training of the inspectors. And there should be a series of meeting and consultations with the industry employers, association, government official in connection with the enforcement of the rule and regulation. Now, there is also a role of our industrial management to identify, evaluation, and monitoring the hazards in regular basis. Technical and administrative measures to ensure the safe operation in the plant. Installation of adequate safety systems. That is, we should install with the possibility of gas leak. You should identify the gas in which position is leakage. So and then maintenance and repair is important parameter. If any problem, immediately you should maintain and repair the plant or repair the particular equipment. And also another important parameter is when you are maintaining the equipment, sometimes what happens, what design the drawing is there, and then you are repairing or maintaining your system, so that is bypassing some unit to easy method. or you modified some equipment or modified some pipeline, but is not noted or not reported in the drawing system. So today I am doing some work. I have modified my equipment or modifying my pipeline, but it not required, not noted in the manual. After 5 years, when somebody will get some problem, they will search the drawing and then do not identify what is the problem is there, because everything is changed. So that is also important parameter. Industrial management should look into the parameter whenever any maintenance work is there, major maintenance is there, any replacement is there. So that should be included in the drawing system. And also another important parameter, emergency preparedness, which is on-site of the plant, and also the offsite local peoples. And there is also a role of employers and trade unions to ensure the cooperation of the employers in all safety and health effects of the company unconditional. To make effective use of the forum for participation, acting as a watchdog regarding the compliance of norms, bring safety and health problems, immediately you should notice to the management, and participating in involving viable and effective solution for this purpose. Because those people are working in the floor, they will easily identify what are the problem is there, and they can give effective solutions to the management so that that type of modification can be takes place in the plant. Now coming into the toxicity. How to define the toxicity? Toxicity is basically potential hazard, inherent toxicity during exposure. There is a short-term effect, that is called acute, and a long-term effect, that is chronic. Safety hazards like chromium, that is chlorine or phosgen, immediate can affect if it absorb more concentrated than desired concentration. In short-term effect means you are exposing small amount of within the exposure limit in a prolonged period of time of 15 years or 20 years, then you'll got some chronic diseases. A long-term means immediately you are affecting. Just a chlorine cylinder is leakage, so immediately you take in some amount of chlorine gas in your system, that is chronic system. That is immediate effect will take place. But short-term is you are working in a chlorine atmosphere, say 5 ppm or 10 ppm, which is an allowable limit for the chlorine. In this atmosphere for prolonged period of time, the 20 years you are working, then you will got some problem in your health. So there is two different problems. One is industrial hazard and hygienic hazard. Industrial hazards and hygienic hazard two are different, but two are same also. Because if on industry workers, hygiene is important. If you handle with a cryogenic material, a carcinogenic material, there is a possibility of the cancer, but no, not all the cases. But some cases, the possibility of risk of cancer is more. So inherent toxicity generally is measured by the test with animal and expressed as a lethal dose at which 50% of test elements are killed. So inherent toxicity is measured by test on animals and expressed as lethal doses or dosal doses at which 50% of the test animals are killed. This is a crude indication of the possible chronic effect. No, not actual indication, but this is a crude indication of the possible chronic effect. So this toxicant can be introduced by the body by ingestion, inhalation, injection, and dermal absorption. First case is the mouth. So how we can control? Informants of rule on eating, drinking, and smoking so that it can be avoided. Inhalation is the mouth or nose. That is proper ventilation, respirator hoods, and other personal protective equipment is always wore when you are in the some danger zone or in the industry. Injection means cuts in the skin. The proper protective clothing must be there, particularly those who are working in the industry in this type of zone. Dermal absorption also in the skin. The proper protective clothing is necessary for avoid this thing. Now some LD50 values That's a milligram per kg. So all the chemicals used in industry are to some extent toxic, depending upon the amount you are absorbing, depending upon the gases you are taking from inhalation takes place. So all chemicals are whatever small. Table salt also. Table salt is 300 milligram per kg is dangerous. Potassium cyanide 10 milligram per kg, tetraethyl lead 35 milligram per kg, lead 100 milligram per kg, DDT 150 milligram per kg, aspirin tablet which are taken for the health purpose which is 1500 milligram per kg. Now, toxicity is generally measured, or government make a rule so that it's manufacture, storage, and import of hazardous chemicals. And his amendment was a 2000 and 2006 also. They define different types of chemicals. They define different different types of chemicals like flammable gases. Flammable gases, that is gases at which at 20 degrees centigrade at standard pressure, and standard pressure means atmospheric pressure, are ignitable when in mixture with when it mixed with 13% or less volume of air with air, or have a flammable range with air at least percentage regardless of lower flammable limit. And this flammable test should be determined according to ISO 10156 in 1990 or by this standard. Accordingly, you have to test the flammability of the gas. Another definition is extremely flammable liquid. A chemical which have flash point lower than or equal to 23 degrees centigrade and boiling point less than 35 degrees centigrade are defined as an extremely flammable liquid. Next, very highly flammable liquids. It is defined the chemicals which have a flash point lower or equal to 23 degrees centigrade, but initial boiling point higher than 35 degrees. Initial boiling point like petroleum products higher than 35 degrees centigrade. That is termed as very highly flammable liquids. Next, highly flammable liquids. The chemicals which have flash point lower or equal to 60 degrees centigrade, but higher than 23 degrees centigrade. Next is flammable liquid. The chemicals which have a flash point higher than 60 degrees centigrade and lower than 90 degrees centigrade. And then explosive. According to their definition, explosive means a solid or liquid pyrotechnic substance or mixture of substances or an article, number one, which is itself capable by chemical reaction of producing a gas at such a temperature and pressure and at such a speed that they can cause damage to the surroundings. And number two, which is designed to produce an effect by heat, light, sound, gas or smoke, or in combination of which as a result of non-detonative, self-sustaining exothermic chemical reaction. So this is definition given by the Indian government according to these rules. According to this rule, the toxic chemicals, that's chemicals having the following acute toxicity level, which owing to their physical and chemical properties are capable of producing major accident hazards. Extremely toxic, oral dose greater than 5 milligram per kg, dermatol dose less than 40, and inhalation dose is 0.5. Highly toxic, greater than 5 to 50, 40 to 200, and 0.5 to 2.0. And toxic is 50 to 500, greater than 200 to 5,000, and 2 to 10. These are the limits for the oral toxicity, normal toxicity, and inhalation toxicity. Now, I will just briefly explain what is hazard. Hazard is basically an Arabic word of Arabic origin, which is associated with games such as golf or billiard, etc. but today it is usually associated with harm or loss. So a physical situation with a potential for human injury, damage to property, damage to the environment, or some combination is the hazard. If that is hazard is a physical situation with a potential for human injury, damage to property, damage to environment, or some combination of this. So hazard must be a system, that system having in general case three basic kind of component. One is source component, one or more receptor, and together with one or more transmission path. So hazard system combination of a system having in general cases three basic kind of components, a source and one or more receptors together with one or more transmission path. The source has a potential to injury to people or damage to property or environment. The receptor has a potential for sustaining injury or damage, should be potential harm. The own source is realized. A transmission path is a medium by which or through which a harm is transmitted from the source to the receptor and simultaneously attenuated. The source is important. Say you can make a bomb blast to a factory, it will damage your some tank, and that tank got fire, so giving in the secondary hazards. This is secondary hazard. That is secondary hazards. So realization that is an event or events by which the potential of the hazard system become actual. A hazard system, secondary source may arise in the two way. A acceptor which constitute a secondary hazard source, if it is possible, it possesses a potential harm to people, property or environment. So that realize the primary source may realize the secondary, may realize to in tune of the potential of the secondary source. A bomb blast is takes place, that is primary source, and tank deterioration of the tank is secondary source, and this secondary source now responsible for the fire or explosion or something like that. There is a possibility of overlapping of the system. There is a possibility of hazard may be a chronic hazard or actual hazards. Acute chronic with persistence, prolonged and repeated. Acute may immediate and very short-term effect. Another important language is the risk, which is the likelihood of a specified undesirable event occurring with a specific period or in specific circumstances. So we can define the risk as a frequency or in probability method. Frequency is a number of specific events occur in a unit time. Probability is number on a scale from 0 to 1, which express the likelihood of one event and successful event. So frequency you can calculate. Probability level also you can calculate. Say in a hill or Himalaya, lower level of the Himalaya, there is a lot of people are staying there. Hope so there is a possibility of the fall of stone from the top, and that can damage the people, damage their room, damage their livelihood, or even death is possible. So at that condition, you can calculate yearly how many times that type of event is occurs and how many people are died. You can calculate, or you can calculate also frequency and also probability you can calculate. Now, our objective is to assessment of the things. That is, quantify the evaluation of the likelihood of the undesirable event. That is likelihood of harm being caused together with the value of judgment made the concern the significance of the result. So if we identify whatever the possibility is there for the risks, and then we can try our judgment to rectify that event so that event should not be happening. So the realization of actual acute hazard may assume to occur random. Yearly 2 times, maybe 3 times a stone is falling from the top. So this is unpredictable. Their interval also unpredictable. Law of change govern their occurrence, and they may regard their constituting the accident. The passive hazard is one, the harm from which can only be realized by actual contact with or penetrating by the receptor. It may be regarded as having zero or negative range. And also there is active hazard, is characterized by realization, which comprises emission of harmful matter or energy. Some active hazards have harmful range of many kilometers. The range of such harms is heavily depends upon the severity of the realization of the process. There are two types of mobile and static force. A car is running, you are coming to the car, so the accident is takes place. That is a mobile accident. And when the car is accident in a house, that is in a static condition. The house is in static, car is in mobile condition. Now, what is the nature of the receptor? Receptor is an animated receptor, that pupil, flora, fauna, etc. Inanimated receptor, building or process equipment, mobile and static, on-site or off-site. On-site means within the plant, off-site means outside the plant. What is the characteristic? The magnitude and the likelihood of the realization. Experience shows the smaller realization to be more likely to occur than the larger ones less. Small accident is always takes place than the large accident. Now, how to define an accident? According to Suchman in 1961, he defined as an event can be classified as an accident if it's unexpected, unavoidable, and unintended. He proposed the characteristics for this accident. One is degree of expectance, degree of avoidability, and degree of intention. So he defined an event can be classified as an accident if it is unexpected, unavoidable, and unintended. And he defined the basic characteristic of an accident: a degree of expectedness, degree of avoidability, and degree of intention. Secondary characteristic: degree of warning. You are getting warning, but you are not careful about that. Degree of occurrence, duration of occurrence, how much duration it takes place, degree of negligence, and degree of misjudgment. In industrial case, degree of warning is always there. People does not understand that warning. Even Chernobyl accident, warning was where the temperature was increases drastically, but people, those who are working, they never think they realize that is that due to the machine fault, this is temperature increases because their lifetime they never saw that temperature is increases. So that is more or less constant. So they thought the indicator giving some wrong indication. And also, if you neglect that type of indication, there is a problem, and degree of misjudgment is also there. So event is an accident if it gives little warning, happens quickly, or if there is a large element of negligence and misjudgment leading to it. So an event accident always takes place if there is a little warning. Warnings must be always there, happens very quickly. You have to take whatever decision you have to take, immediately you have to take the decision. Or if there is a large element of negligence must be there, and also the misjudgment leading to the accident. Now, European community defined the major accident as an occurrence such as major emission, fire, or explosion resulting from uncontrolled development in the course of an industrial activity, leading to a serious damage, danger to man, immediately or delayed, inside or outside the establishment, and to the environment, involving one or more dangerous substances. That is, in the case of major accident, always there is some one or more dangerous substance is coming out from the system. Now, if you think of the chemical industries, the chances of accident is equipment failure is 29.2%, operational failure is 20.5%, inadequate material evolution is 15.57%, chemical process problem is 10.9%, material movement problem is 9%. Material movement means if in a reactor, if I give to A, then B, then C, then D, by mistake you first introduce B, then C, then D, then A, then there is a problem, material movement problem. Ineffective loss prevention program, plant site problem, inadequate plant layout, and structures is not conformity with the use requirement. Whatever structure is meant is not conform with the use requirement. Similar type of accident is occurred in 1985 in Delhi, the Serum Chemicals, when the oleum storage tank is deteriorated by structural failure. So a lot of oleum is released from that. Now, in Indian scenario, inadequate design layout is 14%, equipment failure is 37%, inadequate maintenance is 28%, mechanical failure is 9%, improper operating procedure is 31%, and unknown causes 80%. This is the Indian scenario. Now, I will little bit discuss on the fire. In the case of industries, the leading cause of industrial fire, number 1 is electrical fire. Number 2 is smoking the material. Friction arises, fire arises due to friction, overheated material, burner flames, combustion sparks, spontaneous ignition, cutting and welding, fire from nearby facilities, sparks, chemical action, lightning, or in the molten substance, or any fire, in any fire, 3 things is required. One is oxidizer, another is fuel, another is ignition source. Oxidizer is liquid, gas like oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, hydrogen peroxide, nitric acid, phosphoric acid, etc. This may be solid, that is metal peroxide, ammonium nitrate. So one oxidizer must be required, that they may be a liquid, gases or solids. Fuel must be there, liquid, gasoline, acetone, ether, pentane, like that. So solid, plastic, wood dust, fibers, metal particles, etc. Gases like acetylene, propane, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, etc. And there should be an ignition sources. That is sparks, flames, static electricity, heat, etc. is required. Unless the 3 things is complete, the fire triangle is complete, you are not getting any fire anywhere in any place. So one thing is oxidizer, one thing is fuel, one thing is ignition source. 3 things is simultaneously required to get a fire. In fire, there is 4 classes of fire. Class A is ordinary combustion of fibrous material such as wood, paper, cloth, rubber, and some plastic. Class B, flammable or combustible liquid such as gasoline, kerosene, paint thinner, propane, etc. Class C fire is energized electrical equipment such as appliance, switches, panel box, power tool, etc. And class 4 material, certain combustible metals such as magnesium, titanium, potassium, sodium. For different classes of metal, different types of fire extinguisher is available. For that, you can apply that type of fire extinguisher. Not all fire extinguisher are applicable for all the systems. See, combustible materials, class B material, if you use water, then due to density difference, kerosene or gasoline will come in top of the water level, and then they will again caught fire. In the case of liquid fire, liquid fuel is always defined some basic parameter. One is plus, that is lowest temperature at which flammable liquids give enough vapor to form ignitable mixture with air. That lowest temperature at which a flammable liquid gives off enough power to form an ignitable mixture with air. And there is flammable liquids, that is liquid with flash point greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and combustible liquid is liquid with a flash point less than or equal to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, right? 23 degrees centigrade. Now, flammable or explosion limit is always there. Range of composition of material in air which will burn, that is upper flammability limit, and also the lower flammability limit. And similarly for explosion, higher explosive limit and also the lower explosive limit is there. For any vapor mixture, that is vapor and air mixture or explosive mixture, is the 2 things is required. One is upper flammability limit, lower flammability limit, higher explosive limit and lower explosive limit. So measuring this limit for vapor air mixture, the known concentration are placed in a closed vessel apparatus, and then ignition is attempted to measure this upper limit, lower limit. And this limit also depends upon the number of parameters. I was not interested to go for this. The flammability limit. There is usually range of composition of a flammable vapor and air where combustion occurs. See, this is a lower flammable limit and upper flammable limit. Beyond this limit, too little fuel is available, so it is not it will not burn. And if you cross the upper flammable limit, then much fuel is there, not enough oxidizing material to burn the material. So in between upper and lower flammable limit, if a mixture is there is a possibility of the burning, there is a possibility of catch fire if ignition is there. So lower flammability limit means concentration of air is more. See, in the case of air and fuel, we think of concentration of air is more, fuel is very less amount, so it will not burn. In the case of upper limit, if you cross the upper limit, then the concentration of the fuel is very high. Oxidizing agent or oxygen is very less for burning process. If there is a ignition is there. And for a mixture of flammability limit, flammable mixture, we can calculate the upper flammability limit and lower flammability limit. So this is a mixture. Yi is the mole fraction of ith combustible basis, and is the number of combustible species present in the system. So we can calculate upper flammability limit as well as a lower flammability limit. This is upper flammability limit. Previous one, upper flammability limit, lower flammability limit. This is the lower flammability limit. This flammability limit also depends upon the temperature. If temperature is more than 25 degrees centigrade, then this type of equation is available. If you know the delta C value, that heat of combustion, if you know, then you can calculate. Then the effect of upper and lower flammability limit can be calculated for if the gases are present in the higher temperature. Then we can calculate the flammability limit. That flammability limit changes with temperature. Flammability limit also changes with the pressure. Effect of pressure is also there, but lower flammability limit does not affect the pressure, and higher flammability limit effect of pressure is there. So another important parameter, minimum oxygen concentration. The lower flammability limit is based on air, but actually it is oxygen that is important. Often in industry, they inert to dilute oxygen concentration, and below the minimum oxygen concentration, the reaction cannot be generate enough energy to heat the entire mixture, to heat to the entire mixture, so the extent of that is self-propagation reaction cannot be possible. So minimum oxygen requirement is another important parameter for the continuous fire. And another important parameter is minimum ignition temperature, minimum ignition energy. The minimum energy required for the ignition purpose. Minimum energy required for the ignition, whether initiate of the ignition combustion required, minimum ignition energy is required. For most of the hydrocarbon, this value is very low, is more or less 0.25 millijoule, whereas the spark from the walking across the room is 22 millijoule. Again, we always assume an ignition source will exist, but minimum ignition energy is required for ignition. And textbook gives the minimum ignition energy in a tabular form. Again, the minimum ignition energy decreases with increase of pressure. Minimum in the MIE for dust or in general energy level comparable to combustion of the gases. An increase of nitrogen concentration in the system, the minimum ignition energy also increases. So there is an ignition source. I already told the ignition source. The ignition source are free. This table gives the ignition source. This is taken from the accident prevention manual from industrial operation. So this is basically a flammability limit. So this is upper limit, this is lower limit, this is the only flammable zone, and there is a possibility of auto ignition is there. There is a possibility of auto ignition there. That is different aspect. This is the flammable zone. This is only the flammable zone. So this is the flash point, and this region is the flammable zone, and this is starting point of the auto ignition zone. The flammable limit changes in the presence of the inerts in the system. Flammable limit changes according to the temperature of the system, and also the flammability limit changes with the pressure in the system. So in the case of fire, flammability limit changes with the presence of inert material. Flammability limit also changes in the case in the presence of the temperature, how much temperature in the system have, or also from the pressure. Also the system pressure dictates the flammability limit. So this type of flammability limit can also be estimated, called experimentally determined lower flammability limit as well as the upper flammability limit for vapor air mixer, and also in the case of vapor or other presence of inert material in the system, you can dictate the materials. Dictate the you can dictate the flammability limit. So I'd like to stop here. So thank you, everybody. If you have any question, you can ask me. If you have any question or any query, you can please ask me.
This your lecture is open for discussion. Anyone wants to ask any questions? Professor Das paper is open for discussion.
You can ask now, or you can also give me the question. Also you can write me the question. I will give the answer, or later on you can directly telephone me to clarify any doubt from here.
Thanks to Dr. Das for nicely covering. This is a very, I mean, you can say the tough topic, but he did it in so lucid way. So thanks to him.
Thank you, Samiji.
Our next speaker is Dr. Krishnendu Poida. I think the speaker has joined. Dr. Poida. Dr. Poida, have you joined?
Yes, I have joined.
Yes. So Dr. Poida is a registered medical practitioner and also an MBA from West Bengal University of Technology. So he is presently the Chief Operating Officer. Before that, he was in Apollo Healthcare Group. Now he is the Chief Operating Officer in MCKV Medicare and Healthcare. So over to Dr. Poida. Dr. Poida, please start your delivery.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Swamiji. Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Poida. Actually, today I was requested for discussion on the legislation related to occupational health. And this is an honor and a privilege to be here and share my views on this topic. two sessions are allotted for me. I was requested to take two sessions on this legislation part. And another thing is that occupational poisoning related to cancer, dermatitis, and radiation hazards. Uh, what I have decided, first part will concentrate today on different acts, legislation related topics. And the second part that will be on 21st, we'll discuss this thing, all these things regarding health related parts. In this legislation part, we have different things, different laws, different acts, which are related with health also. You know, people usually say that uh, law, act is a very boring thing. Some people say, definitely, but you need to understand between the lines. It's very interesting. And the thing is that it's very straight cut, either yes or no. No in between, nothing is there. So let us start with the Factories Act 1948. See, all these act, all these laws, they have some specific object, they have some specific scope uh, to explain, to know, understand, comprehend these laws. You need to know some important definitions properly. Without that definitions, it cannot be clearly understand. So if you start with the, let us start with the Factories Act 1948. What about the object and scope of the act? The main object of the Factories Act 1948 is to ensure adequate safety measures and to promote the health and welfare of the workers employed in a specific factory. This is mentioned in the object, in the scope specifically, that health and welfare of the workers. As soon as we go in the later part of this session, you will see that there are scopes for the health and worker, and it is specifically mentioned clearly what are the scopes are there, what should we do for a factory. Without that, it cannot be possible. Next object is the act also makes provisions regarding employment of women and young persons like children, adolescents, etc. That act extends to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. So this is a wide range of concept for all over this country. It prevails, and there are certain fixed rules which we need to follow. What are the important definitions? I have told about some important terms are there. So there are some definitions are there. Whom we call adult, whom we call child, whom we call adolescents. What is the calendar year? This is defined clearly. An adult means a person who has completed his 18 years of age. It is mentioned under subsection 2A. So an adult person should be completed 18 years of age. Completed 18 years of age. Who is adolescent? Means a person who has completed 15 years of age but not completed 18 years of age. So 15 years one day will be considered as adolescent. Which child? Means period of 12 months beginning with the which child means a person who has not completed 15 years of age. This is the simplest way to say. That will be considered as child. Next, what is calendar year? Calendar year means a period of 12 months beginning with the first day of January of any year. This is specifically mentioned under section 2BB. The next is that there are specific things, raw materials, some products are there which are called as hazardous material or hazardous process. So what are the hazardous process? Sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. Young person, who are considered as young person, means a person who is either a child, who is either a child, means uh, a young person means a person who is either a child or an adolescent will be considered as young person. So this is the definition for adult, adolescent, child, and young person. What about hazardous processes? Means any process in relation to an industry specified in first schedule where unless special care is taken, raw materials used there in or effluents, there would be cause materials impairment of the health or result in the pollution of general environment like that. What is power? Power means electrical energy or any other form of energy which mechanically transmitted and is not generated by human or animal agency. Next, prime mover. What is prime mover? Prime mover means any engine, motor, or other appliances which generates or otherwise provides power will be considered as prime mover. Now, we are discussing about Factories Act. What is the definition of a factory? It includes any premises, including the presence thereof, where in 10 or it's, there are some certain things that we know, that we should know. The, where where in 10 or more workers are working, or where working or any day of the preceding 12 months, and in any part of which a manufacturing process is being carried on with aid of power, or where in 20 or more workers are working, or were working on any day or on a day of the preceding 12 months, and in any part which a manufacturing process is being carried without the aid of power. If there is the aid of power, there will be 10 or more. If there is without the aid of power, there will be 20 workers or more. Simultaneously, few things which cannot be covered under the definition of factory, like railway running shed, like mines. There is a different act for mines, mobile units, armed forces, hotels, eating places, restaurants that are not considered under this definition and not considered as factory. Now, the next thing is that premises. What is premises? This is a generic term, means open land or land with building or building alone. What is precincts? Means a space enclosed with enclosed by walls, that will be considered as precincts. What is manufacturing process? It means manufacturing process means making or altering or repairing or packing, oiling, washing, cleaning, or otherwise treating or adapting any article with a view to its use, sale, transport, delivery, or disposal. This will be considered as manufacturing process. Now, who are the workers? Worker means a person employed directly or by any agency, including a contractor. It may be direct or indirect. With or without the knowledge of the principal employer, whether for remuneration or not, in any manufacturing process. Next is a very important thing for a factory, that occupier, who is considered as occupier. The term occupier means a person who has an ultimate control over the affairs of the factory, provided that he or she has the ultimate control over the factory. It's a very important thing. Provided, in case of a farm, any one of the individual partner, in case of a company, any one of the directors shall be deemed to be the occupier. In case of a factory owned by central or state government or local authority, the person or persons appointed to manage the affairs of the factory by the central or state government or the local authority shall be deemed to be the occupier of the factory. So this is the specific definition for an occupier. And honestly speaking, this is a very important thing. They have a very important role for a factory. Next, there are some statutes or statutory agencies and powers for enforcement of this act. And this is mentioned under section 3. The state government the state government assumes that it is assumed that state government the main responsibility for administration of the act and its various provisions by utilizing the powers vested in them. Under section 5, in case of public emergency, the state government may exempt by notification any factory from any of the provision of the act. The state government carry on the administration of the act through some people like inspecting staff, certifying some surgeons, welfare officers, and safety officers. The next important thing is registration of a factory. Under section section 6, it is mentioned clearly that empowers the state government to make rules with regard to licensing and registration of factory under the act on the following matter: submission of plan of factory to chief inspector, obtaining previous permission for factory site, fees for registration, and renewal of registration. These 4 factors comes under factory registrations. Another thing is notice of occupier. It's a very important thing. Actually, I'm doing little fast because time is short. Next part is more important. Health related factors agreed to health. So I'm just doing it little fast. Notice of occupier. What is notice of occupier? Under section 7, it is mentioned, imposes of obligation on the occupier of a factory to send a written notice containing the prescribed particulars to the chief inspector at least 15 days before an occupier begins to occupy a premises as a factory. A notice of the occupier must contain few things. Which are those? The name of the situation, name and the situation of the factory, the name and address of the occupier, the name and address of the owner of the premises, the nature of the manufacturing process. The next is measures to be taken by the factory. This is the important, very important, but you should know that regarding this is regarding health. What are the things that should be taken by the factory? I mentioned specifically in the Factories Act. Number one is health. Second one is safety. Health is mentioned under Chapter 3 of the Act, Section 11 to 20. Safety, that will be made, that is mentioned in Chapter 4 of the Act, between sections 21 to 41. Welfare, mentioned in Chapter 5 of the Act, Section 42 to 50. Working hours of the adult, Chapter 6 of the Act. Annual leave with wages, Chapter 8 of the Act. So let us start with health. Few thing is very clearly mentioned regarding health in Factories Act, like cleanliness, disposal of waste and effluents, ventilation, temperature, dust and fumes, artificial humidification. Let us discuss one by one. Cleanliness, mentioned in section 11. The factory should be kept clean. The factory should be kept clean from any sort of nuisance like privy, drain, etc. That should be cleaned properly. Should be disinfected time to time, on regular basis. Disposal of waste and effluents. It is mentioned under section 12. That is to make effective arrangement for treatment of waste and effluents arising due to the manufacturing process, which may cause detrimental to health of the workers or detrimental for environment. Next, proper ventilation and temperature. That is to maintain adequate. That is to maintain adequate ventilation by the circulation of fresh air, and to maintain such temperature is reasonable for comfort and health of the workers. For dust and fumes, which is created by the manufacturing process, different chemicals, in case of jute, fibers are there, etc. So these things which is injurious to health, for which measures, these many chemicals are there, this carcinogenic, which causes cancer. Fibers, very, very fine fibers in the factory, jute factory, and we have seen, which causes damage to the lungs. Factories where stones are broken, that dust, that also cause damage to the lungs. So all these cases, these dusts, fumes, that is created by the manufacturing process in these chemicals or dust, which is injurious to health, for which measures like exhaust fan, internal combustion engine should be adopted proper process for considering the dust, fumes, chemicals like this. Humidification, in case artificial humidification also required. Humidify means the presence of moisture in the air. Certain industries like cotton textile, cigarette industry, etc., higher degree of humidity is required for carrying out manufacturing process. State governments can make rules by prescribing the standard of humidification, regulating methods to be adopted for artificially increasing the humidity of the air, etc. Next, overcrowding. It should not be like that. It provides a sufficient airspace, should be provided to the workers. Overcrowding in the workroom not only affect work in their discharge of duties, but their health also. Lighting provides that, it provides that every factory must provide and maintain sufficient and suitable lighting, natural lighting or artificial lighting. If there is a scope for natural, no issue. That is the best thing. If it is not there, artificial lighting must be there, and factories should arrange for that artificial lighting. Or both, in case it is required, we can arrange for both in every part of the factory where workers are working or passing. Not only working, if they are passing around that you need to arrange. Next, drinking, arrangement for drinking water, safe, pure water. Need to provide that every factory should make effective arrangement for sufficient supply of wholesome drinking water at suitable points. It's not like that in one point. It's not like that in a quantity which is not sufficient. It should be in sufficient quantity. It should be in adequate quantity, more than adequate, which should be advised. And that should be in defined points. It's not like in one place. At suitable points, convenient for all workers, and it should be a convenient place. Next, latrine and urinals. This should be there in a factory. Provides that every factory shall make suitable arrangement for sufficient number of latrines and urinals, separate for male and female workers, conveniently situated with proper lighting and ventilation, kept in clean and sanitary condition at all times for all the workers of the factory. Under this chapter, the last point is spittoons. Every factory should have sufficient number of spittoons situated at convenient places and should be maintained in a clean and hygienic condition. These 10 things are very important, and this is mentioned in under the health part. Next, if health is a very important thing, safety is also a very important thing. Without that, a worker may not do their works in a good condition. There may be accident, there may be other problems. So under the safety, chapter 4, first thing is mentioned fencing of machinery, like electric generators or hazardous machines. There should be a fencing. Safety measures in case of work near machinery in motion. Those machines working in motion, there should be a safety measures in case worker should not be get any problem injured out of this thing. Employment of young persons on dangerous machines, because in those cases reflex actions, promptness is very important. So young persons are encouraged for those dangerous machines. Striking gear, devices of cutting powers, self-acting machines. It provides that no transverse part of self-acting machine in any factory shall be allowed to run on its outward or inward transverse within a distance of 45 centimeters from a fixed structure which is not part of the machine. So that should be taken into account. This specification should be there. It should not be less than 45 centimeter. Casing of new machinery. Prohibition of employment of women and children near cotton openers. No child or woman shall be employed in any part of factory for pressing cotton in which a cotton opener is at work. waste and lifts. In every factory, every hoist and lift shall be of good mechanical construction, sound material, sound material, and adequate strength. Lifting machines, chains, rope, and lifting tackles. Safety in case of use of revolving machinery. Next, for pressure plant, provides that taking effective measures to ensure that safe working pressure of any plant or machinery used in manufacturing process operated at pressure above atmospheric pressure does not exceed the limits prescribed by state government. Floors, stairs, and means of access provides that in every factory, all floors, steps, stairs, passages, and gateways shall be sound constructed and properly maintained, and there shall be maintained safe means of access of every place at which any person is at any time required to work. Pits, openings in floors, that should be maintained properly. Excessive weights provides that no person should be employed in any factory to lift or carry any load so heavy so as to likely to cause him injury. Protection of eyes in those cases where where there is lighting or like these things are there which can hamper the vision or eye. Protecting goggles may be used. There should be proper places for washing of eyes in some factories where there is a scope of injury of eye. They have a special arrangement for washing of eyes. Next, precaution against dangerous fumes, gas, etc., explosive or inflammable dust, gas, etc. Precautions in case of fire, power to require, specification of defective parts. Safety officer provides that in every factory where 1,000 or more workers are employed, the occupier shall appoint such number of safety officers as may be specified by the state government. It depends in different states. The number will be defined in different states. Power to make rules to supplement this chapter. Next point is welfare. We have already discussed health, safety, and next is welfare. This is mentioned in the chapter 5 of this act. Washing facilities provides that every factory should provide and maintain adequate and suitable washing facilities for its workers, male, female, and it will be a separate arrangement should be there and it should be conveniently accessible. Facilities for storing and drying clothing. It empowers the state government to make rules requiring the occupier, the certain class of factory to provide suitable places for keeping clothing not owned during working hours. And in other cases for drying the wet clothing. Facilities for sitting of the workers. Every factory shall provide suitable facilities for sitting for those who work in standing position so that they may make use of them as and when any opportunity comes in the course of work. Arrangement for first aid appliances. Prescribed arrangements should be made in every factory for first aid facilities. Arrangement for canteens. State government may make rules for specified factory where in more than 250 workers are employed to provide a canteen for the use of workers. Then shelter or restroom or lunch room. Arrangement for restroom, lunch room should be there, some sort of shelter to be maintained where the workers can take their meal, they can bought by them or during the rest interval in every factory where more than 150 workers are employed. Precious. In every factory where more than 30 women workers are employed, the facility for suitable rooms should be provided for the use of children under the age of 6 years for such women workers. Next, welfare officer in every factory where in 500 or more workers are employed, the occupier should employ such number of welfare officer as may be prescribed by the state government. Next, power to make rules to supplement this chapter. The state government is empowered to make such rules to ensure the welfare of any factory. Now, the next chapter, the sixth chapter, mentions about the working hours of adults. Weekly hours mentioned under section 51. The adult worker shall be allowed to work only for 48 hours in a week. Weekly holidays mentioned under section 52 provides that there shall be holiday for note. Day means under section 2 it is mentioned a period of 24 hours beginning at midnight. Week means a period of 7 days beginning at midnight of Saturday night or such other night as may be approved in writing for a particular area by the chief inspector of factories. Compensatory holidays. When a worker is deprived of any of the weekly holidays, he is entitled to compensatory holiday of equal number of holidays so lost. Daily hours. It provides an adult worker, whether male or female, shall not be allowed to work in a factory for more than 9 hours in a day. Under section 54 should be read with section 51, that is the daily hour of work should be so adjusted that the total weekly hours does not exceed 48 hours. Intervals for rest. It provides that no adult worker shall work continuously for more than 5 hours unless a rest interval of at least an hour is given to him. Next, spread over. It provides that the daily working hours should be adjusted in such a manner that inclusive of rest intervals. Night shifts. Where a worker in a factory works in night shifts, that is shift extending beyond midnight, the weekly or compensatory holiday shall be period of 24 hours consecutively being with when his shift ends. Extra wages for overtime. Where a worker works in factory for more than 9 hours in a day, or more than 48 hours in a week, he shall, in respect of overtime work, be entitled to wages at the rate of twice his ordinary rate of wages. Now, employment of women worker, it makes some provisions. No exemption shall be granted to a female worker from the provisions of relating to daily hours of work. Women workers shall not be employed except between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. 7 p.m. There shall be no change of shifts except after a weekly holiday. The next is annual leave with wages. This is mentioned under Chapter 8 of this Act. Under Section 79, some provisions are there, like basis of leave, where a worker has worked for a minimum period of 240 days or more in a factory during any calendar year, he is entitled to leave with wages on the following basis. Like for adults, 1 day for every 20 days of work performed by him during the previous calendar year. For children, 1 day for every 15 days of work performed by them during the previous calendar year. The second thing is that if a worker does not commence his service from 1st January, he is entitled to these leaves at the above mentioned rates, provided he has worked for two-thirds of the total number of days in the remaining part of the calendar year. And the third one is, these leaves are exclusively of all holidays, whether occurring during or at either end of the period of leave. What about the accumulation or carry forward of leaves? If any worker does not avail any earned leave entitled to him during the calendar year, it can be carried forward to the next calendar year, subject to maximum of 30 days for an adult worker and 40 days for a child worker. So in nutshell, this is about the Factories Act, where it is specifically mentioned defined things about health, safety, welfare, regarding working hours of adult, working hours of children, annual leaves, wages, all these things. Related to health, there are certain other acts is also there. This is ESI Act. The Employee State Insurance Act 1948. The object of this act is the act provides for certain benefits to employee in case of sickness, maternity, and employment injury. The Employee State Insurance Corporation has been set up under the act by the appropriate government, state government. The coverage of the act can be extended with the approval of the central government. Under these enacting provisions, the act has been extended in many states to shops, hotels, restaurants, cinemas, new paper establishment, road transport undertaking, etc. Employing 20 or more persons under the ESI Act may be applicable by the state government. The coverage under this act at present restricted. Initially, when it was started, it was restricted to employees who are working drawing wages not exceeding 7,500 per month, but now it is extended to 21,000 per month. There are certain things under this act, specific terms are there like contribution, uh, dependent, employee, insured persons, like that. Specifically, contribution means under this act, it means the sum of money payable to ESI Corporation by the principal employer in respect of an employee and includes any amount payable by the employee in accordance with the provisions of the Act under Section 2, subsection 4. Dependent. Under Section 2, subsection 6a, it is mentioned that it means any of the following relatives of a deceased injured person, vice a widow, a minor legitimate or adopted son, and unmarried legitimate daughter or widow mother. They will be considered as dependent. If only dependent on the earnings of the deceased workman, a son or a daughter who has attained the age of 18 years and who is infirm will be considered as dependent. If wholly or partly dependent on the earnings of the deceased woman in a widower, a parent, a minor, legitimate son or daughter, minor brother, or an unmarried sister, a widow daughter-in-law will be considered as dependent. Who will be considered as employee mentioned under Section 2, subsection 9. It means any person employed for wages in connection with the factory to which the Act applies and who is directly employed by the principal employer or who is employed through an immediate employer or whose service are temporarily lent. They will be considered as employee. Who is insured person? It is mentioned under Section 2, subsection 14. It means a person who is an employee in respect of whom contributions are payable under the Act and who is by reason thereof entitled to any of the benefit provided under the Act. Now, what are the benefits available under the ESI Act to the insured employees? This thing is mentioned in the Act under Section 46. Insured persons, their dependents are entitled to the following benefits. Which are those benefits? Number one, subject to the provisions of this Act, the insured person, their dependents, or the person hereinafter mentioned as the case may be, shall be entitled to the following benefits. Namely, number one, periodical payments to any insured person in case of his sickness, certified by a duly appointed medical practitioner or by any other person possessing such qualifications and experiences as the corporation may, by regulations, specify in this behalf. And this kind of benefit is considered as sickness benefit, and hereinafter referred as sickness benefit. Second one is periodical payments to an insured. This is called maternity benefits. Periodical payment to an insured workman, woman, female workman, in case of confinement or miscarriage or sickness arising out of pregnancy, confinement, premature birth of child or miscarriage. Such women being certified to be eligible for such payments by an authority specified in this behalf by the regulation. This is maternity benefit. Third one is referred as Disablement benefit. This is periodical payments to an insured person suffering from disablement as such result of an employment injury sustained as an employee under this act and certified to be eligible of such payment by an authority specified in this behalf by the regulations. The fourth one is dependence benefit. Periodical payments to such dependent of an insured person who dies as a result of an employment injury sustained as an employee under this act as are entitled to compensation under this act, and this is referred as dependence benefit. The fifth one is medical benefit, medical treatment for the for medical treatment and attendance on an injured person. All these things considered under this medical benefit. Next is funeral expenses. Payment to the eldest serving member of the family of an insured person who has died towards the expenditure on the funeral of the deceased insured person, or where the insured person did not have any family or was not living with his family at the time of his death, to the person who actually incurs the expenditure on the funeral of the deceased insured person. These things that they are provided, the amount of such payment shall not exceed such amount as may be prescribed by the central government, and the claim for such payment shall be made within 3 months of the death of the insured person or within such extent periods as the corporation or any officer or authority authorized by it with this behalf of may allow. Next, the corporation may, at the request of the appropriate government and subject to such conditions as may be laid down in the regulations, extend the medical benefits to the family of an insured person. So, this is all about Employees in State Insurance Act, ESI Act 1948. We have studied about Factories Act. We have studied about Employees State Insurance Act 1948. Though it is not directly related, but in some cases, this is also an important thing which we should know. Another act is Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. It was not there in the schedule, but I think this should be there. You should know a little bit about this Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. This Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act under 1952, the object of the act is to uh, provident fund schemes for benefit of the employees had been introduced by some organization even when there was no legislation requiring them to do so. In 1952, the Employees Provident Fund Act was enacted to provide institution of Provident Fund for workers in 6 specified industries with provision for gradual extension of the act to other industries. The act is now applicable to employees drawing pay not exceeding rupees 5,000 per month. It was there previously. The act extends to the whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir. And the term pay includes basic wages with DA, dearness allowances, and cash value of food concession. Under this act, three schemes has been framed under the Provident Fund Act. Number one, Employees Provident Fund Scheme, 1952. Next one is Employees Pension Scheme, 1995, and the Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme, 1976. The three schemes have a significant social security benefits on workers and their dependents. In this act, there are some specific definitions like appropriate government, contributions, employer-employee, exempted establishment. So let us discuss one by one. Appropriate government means, first is in relation to those establishments belonging to the central government, railways, major ports, mines, etc. The central government in case of, and in relation to any other establishment, the state government also this is applicable. What is contribution? Means contribution payable in respect of a member under a scheme or the contribution in respect of a employee to whom the insurance scheme applies. Who is employer? It means in relation to an establishment which is a factory, the owner or occupier of the factory, or in relation to any other establishment, the person who has the ultimate control over the affairs of the establishment, like manager, MD, etc. They may be considered in that case as an employer. Who are employees? It means any person who is employed for wages in any kind of work, manual or otherwise, in connection with the work of an establishment, and who gets his wages directly or indirectly from the employer, and includes any person employed through a contractor and engaged as an apprentice under Apprentice Act 1961. What is exempted establishment? It means an establishment in respect of which an exemption has been granted under Section 17 from the operation of any of the provisions of the schemes as provided by the Act. Now, we'll consider about the schemes under this Act. First is Employees Provident Fund Scheme. This scheme is framed by the central government and the fund is administered by the central government, central board, sorry. Employees entitled to join provident fund. Every employee employed in connection with the work of a factory or other establishment to which this scheme applies shall be entitled and required to be member of the fund from the date of joining of the factory or establishment. What about the contribution? As per Section 6 of this Act, the contribution which shall be paid by the employer to the fund shall be a certain percentage of the basic wages, dearness allowance, and retaining allowances, if any, for the time being payable to each of the employees, whether employed by him directly or through a contractor, and the employee's contribution shall be equal to the contribution payable by the employer. Employees, if they desire, this is a different thing for employees. Employee, if they desire, may make contribution exceeding the prescribed rate. From their end, there is a part of contribution from the employer end, and there is a contribution from the part of employees end. So employee, if he desires, he can make more exceeding to the normal rate. But this is subject to a condition that the employer shall not be under any obligation to contribute over and above the contribution payable as prescribed by the government from time to time as per the Act. Government has raised the rate of Provident Fund. It was started as 8.33. After that, it is increased. And now it is 13.66%. And from the employer's part, 12% plus 1.66% from the for administrative charges, and from employees' part it is 12%, and it was effect from 22nd September 1997. Regarding investment, the amount received by by way of the Provident Fund contribution is invested by the Board of Trustees in accordance with the investment pattern approved by the Government of India. The members of Provident Fund get interest on the money standing to their credit in their Provident Fund accounts. The rate of interest of such for each financial year is recommended by the Board of Trustees and is subject to final decision by the Government of India. Under this Act, there is a provision for advance or withdrawal. Advance from Provident Fund can be taken for the following purposes subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. Non-refundable advance for payment of premium towards a policy of life insurance of a member. Withdrawal for the second one is withdrawal for purchasing a dwelling house or construction of an existing one. Third one is non-refundable advance in case of hospitalization lasting 1 month or major surgical operation, or non-refundable advance for daughter or son's marriage or self-marriage, or the marriage of sister or brother, or for the post matriculation education of son or daughter. And the final withdrawal is full accumulation with interest there on a refunded on event of death or permanent disability, superannuation, retrenchment, or migration from India for permanent settlement to abroad, or voluntary retirement. Now we are coming to the employees pension scheme, the second one. Under section 6A, government has introduced a new pension scheme styled employees pension scheme 1995 in place of family pension scheme 1971. The employees pension scheme is compulsory for all the persons who were member of family pension scheme. It is also compulsory for the persons who become members of the Provident Fund from 16th November 1995, that is the date of introduction of the scheme. Minimum 10 years contributory service is required for entitlement for pension. Normal superannuation pension is payable on attaining the age of 58 years. The pension on a discounted date is also payable on attaining the age of 58 years. The scheme provides for payment of monthly pension in the following contingencies: superannuation on attaining the age of 58 years, retirement, permanent total disablement, death during service, death after retirement. Now, we should uh, know about mode of recovery of money due from employers. That is also a very important thing. That is this instructed under Section 8 of this Act, prescribes the mode of recovery money due from employers by the central or provident fund commissioner or such officer as may be authorized by him by notification in official gazette in this behalf in the same manner as the area of land revenue. Apart from that, there is to another thing, that is priority of payment of contribution. Priority of payment of contribution over the dates. Under Section 11 of the Act provides that the contribution towards Provident Fund shall rank prior to other payments in the event of employer being adjudicated insolvent, or where it is a company on which order of winding up has been made. Protection against attachment. Some statutory protections is provided to the amount of contribution to the Provident Fund under Section 10 from attachment to any court of decree. What is decree? Decree is an actionable claim which is negotiable. So these are the things. Apart from these things, there are a few other things also there, like uh, mentioned in OSHA's. Uh, Here, what we are doing, we are ensuring good health of the employees, benefits, comparing with some international laws. We are making these benefits to certain extent so that they get a good medical as well as working environment which give a better output, and ultimately that will be beneficial for the organization as well as the employee. In nutshell, because this is a vast thing, if we go in detail, it's very difficult to complete by this time. So in nutshell, uh, this is discussed regarding those acts. You are welcome for any questions, or if you like to get any place some query, you can email me also. Thank you very much for your patience here. Over to Swamiji.
Thank you, Dr. Poida, for a very nice rendering and important topics you have discussed. Basically, this legislation part is a little bit, you can say, tiring. I mean, it may not be so interesting, but the way you have tackled it, it appeared it has become a very interesting topic. So thank you very much. I request the participants, if there is any queries regarding that. Have you covered the accident portion? You have not covered, no? It has been
So this
covered
is a
by some
vast
other
one.
speaker side.
It's very
Yes, yes.
difficult to complete this by this time. That's why I've
Yes, yes, yes. That accident compensation also. I mean, any idea regarding this? I mean,
no. There are some specification are there.
yes. I still remember when I was
It
in
requires
steps.
some
I still remember when I was in working in under Ministry of Steel. Then once I made a very small accident at the, while coming to the office, and I got the compensatory leave and all these things, some facilities. So that was there. Anyway, no problem. So if there are the questions, not now, so I request all the participants to think of and then put the questions after the speaker is available. Afterwards also. Your lecture is again on
21st.
21st. Yes. So that is the idea, and let us. Put thanks and gratitude to this speaker, and let us call it a day. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.